Former Shell CEO John Hofmeister lived through the blackouts and joins me now for reaction on all of this and possibly maybe the perfect guest to address some of these issues. When it comes to what happened in Texas, there wasn't enough investment on the backup, traditional energy power grid and the sources, that could deal with temperatures like this, but they didn't really think that they had to. So how do they change that going forward, John, to have a better system in place? Because obviously, people died here. They're still struggling right now to get back on track.
I think the situation that we had in Texas last week is really the failure of the state legislature and the state's governor to come to grips with some of the difficult decisions that have to be made on the regulatory front. The way Texas deregulated its electrical industry actually did not look out for the consumer, it looked out for the producer and the distributor. And so the generator cannot get reimbursed for weatherizing plants that aren't necessarily needing weatherizing in the moment. Weatherizing is something you look at over a long-term period, but the regulation does not provide for them to be paid for that kind of weatherization. So I think we know what the issues are in Texas, and it has to do with, I think, an extensive deregulation effort in the 1990s, which has been tested a couple of times and failed each time. This was a gross failure on the part of our regulatory regime, and I think that has to be changed. Fortunately, the legislature is currently in session. Fortunately, the governor has made it part of emergency legislation to look after in this session. So I think most Texans are hopeful that we'll come out of this with a regulatory fix, which we've needed for a very long time.
John, you heard what Senator Schumer just said there, and I'm curious to get your reaction because he's saying that Texas ignored climate change, and that's why it's in the situation that it is in, and hopefully that it's learned a lesson. But that's not really what it was about.
Well, I don't think the senator has been to Texas very often. I don't think there are too many in Texas who would invite him to come visit, as a matter of fact. But the reality is, Texas leads the United States of America in wind energy. Over 20% of our producing capacity is wind in Texas, and we're growing solar as rapidly as we can. So that's all part of having a more robust energy system. People in Houston think of Texas as the energy capital of the world. We have every form of energy here in the state of Texas. And it's not about climate change or no climate change. It's about how can you build a robust system. But we know we can't do it without winterization, which we have not had in Texas forever.
Yeah.
And now it's time to change that.
And it's interesting as you look at the Biden administration pushing, green energy policies, and you think about the future of alternative energy. Part of solar panels, Grady, was showing us some of the panels and how they're being constructed. Part of wind turbines, for example, you need Mother Nature to cooperate, and if not, then you need a mechanism by which you can store that energy for future use. When is it that we see those systems going into place?
Well, I think the reality is with wind and solar, they are intermittent. They require a storage backup or a robust grid that can operate without wind and solar. So it's either pay for the storage or pay for the robust other sources, but in addition, have wind and solar as part of the mix. Who wants to give up a free source of energy?
Yeah.
Which is very rational to pursue. And Texas is pursuing it,
John?
as many other parts of the nation are too.
I'm out of time.
So I think we'll get there with an all-the-above policy.
We're out of time. I'm so sorry, but thank you for your insight. We'll talk more oil after this.